What's going on, everyone? Cubeologist here today, and as you can see, we've got a lot of puzzles to go over. So I actually have the entire Kung Fu collection, and I'll get into the names of some of those in just a second. And I've got one extra puzzle from New Island, but you'll see why that's relevant in just a second. So let's take a look at all of these puzzles together, and you can maybe get a laugh at how I try to pronounce the names. All right, so let's take a look at these. I'll tell you what they're called from left to right, and I'm going to butcher the names. I'm going to absolutely butcher the names, so you're going to have to just make fun of me in the comments because I'm still going to try to say them. So this is the Kung Fu collection, as you guys know. So the Kung Fu 2x2 is called the Yue Hun, if I had to guess. The 3x3 is called the King Hong. I don't know, it starts with a Q. I'm confused about how you say that. Anyway, we're going to skip the New Island. This is the Lightning V2 though. Now the small 4x4 is called the Kang Feng, and the large 4x4 is called the Ju Kui. I think that's how you say it. It's Juque. But if you want to try to pronounce all those yourself, I'll have links to all these in the description, obviously, and you can go check those out on the Cubicle and see if you do any better. First off, let's start with the 4x4s. Let's take a look at the performance and see what these are all about. Wow. Okay, so that feels really blocky and like super loose, kind of. Let's see, I think it corner cuts forward decently well, but there is literally no reverse. This thing just feels kind of flimsy and brittle. Yeah, there's like a super lock right there. Okay, so this puzzle, I don't know. I don't like it. It's kind of large. I think it's 65 millimeters or larger. So you can tell, see, it just locks at the strangest times. This locking on this piece, I know if I forced it, that would pop. But as you can see, not my favorite puzzle. All right, so now let's take a look at the smaller one. And right off the bat, I can feel that I like this better in my hands. This is the more typical, like 62 and a half millimeters. Definitely. Now, wow, it's really fast. I can tell you that. And it looks like the Florian cuts are a little bigger. So you might actually get a bit of reverse, which this one I can tell already performs better than the larger one. Although it has a really strange feel. It almost feels like not really bumpy, but brittle. It's really, really hard plastic. So let's take a look at some inner layer turning. Okay, so that's a little bit locky. I don't know how much of it is my poor turning and how much is actually the puzzle, but I have to say that I really don't enjoy either one of these puzzles. If you're looking for a budget 4x4, I would go with the Guansu. These definitely are not my favorite. So now let's move on to the 3x3, and we're going to bring in the New Island Lightning with it. And let me show you why. So here is an edge piece from the Kung Fu 3x3, and here is an edge piece from the New Island Lightning version 2. Here's a corner piece from the Kung Fu 3x3, and here's a corner piece from the New Island Lightning V2. So yeah, we've seen this before from New Island. I don't know if they just contract the manufacturer to let them rebrand the puzzle or what, but if you guys remember, the New Island Phoenix was the Chi bullfight, and all that kind of happened. Nobody knew who was ripping off who, and I actually don't think anybody is actually ripping anybody else off. It's just they're getting them from the same factory. But for the sake of the video, we're going to get rid of the New Island and just talk about the actual Kung Fu puzzle. So as you can see, the design is pretty typical of modern speed cubes. The center, even though it has that round sticker on it, isn't exactly round. It's just kind of beveled on the edges. So the round sticker works. The edges aren't really rounded off as much as edges on some other new puzzles like the GTS and some other puzzles like that. And the corners aren't quite as squared off as some of the other ones, but they're not exactly rounded either. So now let's talk about performance. It's actually not a bad performing puzzle out of the box. I've had a chance. So now let's talk about performance, and it's actually not too bad. I've had a chance to play with it a little bit since I got it. I've had it for a couple days and I haven't made this video. Sorry about that, but it solves pretty well. You know, it corner cuts out of the box. There's even some reverse. It's not the best, but it's not a bad puzzle. If you're looking for like an $8 3x3 and you hate the thunderclap for some reason, or you just want to blow it up or something crazy like that. But if you're just looking for a pretty cheap 3x3, this is pretty good. It's not the best. I would say go ahead and get a GTS, but this isn't bad. And if I had to use this in a pinch, I definitely could. It's just a little too fast. I would have to slow it down a little bit with lube, but I get that a lot with puzzles because I'm pretty slow. So let's move on to the 2x2. And in my personal opinion, this is the gem of the Kung Fu collection. This thing's only $6. It only comes in stickerless right now, but the black version is up for pre-order. And to be totally honest with you, this is probably my third best performing 2x2. Behind the Diane and the Weipo, this is the next puzzle. It just turns so well. There really isn't anything that I would want this puzzle to do other than what it already does. There's pretty good corner cutting, which corner cutting is a given nowadays on modern speed cubes, and reverse is good. It feels really smooth. There's no locks. I have to be honest when I say that on a budget, this is the best 2x2 I've felt in a while. So things like the Guanpo and the Yupo and the Chi calves, puzzles like that always are kind of rattly and catch a little bit. But this thing is actually really solid, and let's be honest, when I can turn a puzzle fairly quickly, it's not bad because I tend to lock a lot, especially on 2x2. And yeah, this thing, like I said, it just performs like a dream. So I'm really happy about that. So my final advice would be, if you want this 3x3, don't buy the New Island version. That's $17. You just get a fancy box and a bag. Definitely get the Kung Fu version because it's the same puzzle and it's a pretty good 3x3. It's not the best. If you already have a GTS or like a Mei Ying or something that's just good, this is not going to outperform it, but it's a pretty good 3x3. Get the 2x2 though. That is my advice from this. Get this and try it. If you don't like it, you're only out $6, but you're going to like it. The 4x4s are probably a pass in my personal opinion. So maybe don't waste your time. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Give it a thumbs up if you did. So my next video is going to be coming out pretty soon. It's a puzzle spotlight. I can't really tell you what the puzzle is, but hopefully you guys will get the hint. So like I said, I really hope you guys enjoyed, and you'll hear from me really soon. Later, guys.